There's a type of man who walks into a room and the room adjusts to him. Nobody announces it, nobody explains it, but people make space. And then there is you, who has been training for months, sweating, closing the gym down, and still crossing that same room without a single head turning. Do this test right now before you keep watching. Stand up, let your arms hang loose, and look at your reflection, or at your own shadow on the wall. Do not look at your arm. Do not look at your chest. Look at the outline. Where your right shoulder ends, where your left shoulder ends, and what happens at your waist. If that line drops straight from your shoulder to your hip with no break in it, no angle, no taper, you just found the exact reason nobody notices the work you put in. That has a name: the cylinder body. It is the body of the man who lifts weight, eats his chicken, sleeps badly, and still stays invisible. Not because he is weak, because he is building in the wrong order. They sold you volume. They sold you kilos. They sold you a number on the scale and a picture of your biceps. And nobody told you the one thing the human eye reads from across a room in under a second, before any detail, before any single muscle: the outline. What I am about to say is going to sound like an easy promise. Plenty of people are going to leave thinking it is an exaggeration. Stay, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the exact system to change your silhouette, which is the shape people read before you ever open your mouth, training fewer things with far more intention and without needing to gain 40 pounds to get there. Give me a few minutes, and I will save you 3 years of wasted training. I'm going to give you the whole system, 4 pillars, with sets, reps, tempo, rest, and a hard rule for measuring progress. Nothing vague, no gym wall philosophy. But before a single exercise, you need to understand why your body carries no presence today. And I am not stalling. If you do not understand the cause, you will do exactly what you have done for years: attack the symptom. You will add weight to the bench, do more crunches, switch supplements, change your program every 6 weeks, and you will keep looking in the mirror with that same feeling that something is missing that you cannot quite name. A man who understands the mechanism corrects himself. A man who only copies programs stays dependent forever. And pay attention to this, because at the end of this video, I'm going to hand you 2 things I have not seen anyone give away. A 30-second test done in front of any mirror that tells you without a scale and without a tape measure whether you are actually improving or just swelling up. And the minimum version of the protocol for those weeks when your routine collapses and you only have 20 minutes, 3 times. Now, the cause. The human eye does not evaluate your body like an inspector. It evaluates it the way you read a road sign at 50 meters. You do not read the letters, you read the shape: triangle, circle, rectangle. Your brain decides what that thing is before it can read any detail at all. The same exact thing happens with the human body. Before anyone notices your arm, before anyone notices your shirt, that person's brain has already processed one single thing: your silhouette. Width up top, a narrowing in the middle, a vertical line through your posture. It gets read in a fraction of a second, and it is not reversible. You do not get a second chance to be read from across the room. Here is the reframe that changes your training starting today. It is not a lack of weight, it is a lack of contrast. You do not need to be bigger. You need to be wider up top and tighter in the middle, and you need to occupy every inch of height your spine is willing to give you. Now the villain, because he exists and he is inside the gym where you train. The standard routine they handed you was built for the front-facing mirror. Bench press, curls, crunches, and some treadmill at the end to burn it off. Notice what those have in common. They all work the front plane. They all build thickness, and thickness is what you see standing square in good lighting, not what the street sees. Meanwhile, everything that builds outline gets pushed to the end of the session, when you are already tired, done in a rush, with a load you swing instead of lift. There is a second saboteur, and it is quieter, short range of motion. You go down a third of the way, you bounce back up, and you call that a set. But muscle does not grow from repeated movement. It grows from mechanical tension applied across the full length of the fiber, especially in the stretched position. When you cut the range short, the muscle never gets loaded while lengthened, and without that, it simply never receives the signal to grow. You did the work, you felt the burn, you walked out soaked, and you gave your body no biological reason to change anything. That is effort with no message attached. The third saboteur is cardio used as panic. A man doing an hour on the treadmill every day with no muscular structure underneath does not get defined. He gets smaller. Everything shrinks proportionally. The cylinder stays a cylinder, just with less material inside it. Before you leave, thinking this is all vanity talk with no practical weight in your life, understand what your silhouette actually communicates. Broad shoulders and a stacked spine are not decoration. They are signals of available strength, of energy, of a man who governs himself. That changes how you get treated in a room, in a meeting, at a crowded table. It changes who approaches you, and it changes who thinks twice before cutting you off mid-sentence. You will not have to say a word about yourself. The outline speaks first, and it speaks loud. So understand this, and understand it properly. It is not because your genetics are bad. It is not because you started late. It is not because you lack discipline, because a man with no discipline would not be watching a video about this. Your problem is order of priority. You applied first-class effort to third-class targets. An effort aimed at the wrong target does not disappear. It just never shows up. Let us fix that right now. I call it the silhouette protocol, and it has 4 pillars. Write these down. First pillar, width before volume. Most men chase bench numbers for years and never once dedicate a serious session to the side of the shoulder and to the upper back. The mistake makes sense, because bench has a number attached and numbers are addictive. But what builds the width of your upper body is the lateral deltoid, that middle portion of the shoulder, and the upper region of your lats. Those two create the distance between one edge of you and the other. And that distance is what makes a shirt hang differently and makes a person look at you twice. The fix is simple and specific. Dumbbell lateral raises, 4 sets of 12 to 20 reps, 1 second up, and a controlled 3 seconds down, 45 to 60 seconds of rest, 2 to 3 times a week. Light enough that you're not using your torso as a lever. If you have to throw your body backward, the load is wrong, and the exercise is turned into a swing. One execution detail changes this movement completely. Lean your torso a few degrees forward, keep the elbow slightly higher than the wrist, and stop trying to lift above shoulder line. Above that line, the upper trap takes over, and an overworked trap visually shortens your neck and erases the exact width you're trying to build. Alongside that, wide grip pull-downs or wide grip pull-ups, 4 sets of 6 to 10 reps, with a 1 second pause at peak contraction. The reasoning in one sentence: perceived width comes from lateral tissue, and lateral tissue responds to rep volume under constant tension, not to a strength record. Second pillar, contrast through the middle. And I have to be blunt here because this does not get solved with crunches. Crunches add thickness to the wall. They do not reduce circumference. A man doing 200 crunches a day at 15% body fat still has the same waist. He is just more tired. Waist circumference responds to 3 measurable things. First, a moderate calorie deficit, somewhere around 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance, not a violent cut, because an aggressive cut costs you lean mass, and lean mass is exactly what keeps your upper body wide. Second, protein between 0.7 and 1 gram per pound of body weight per day, spread across 3 or 4 meals, because protein is what protects muscle while you strip away the rest. Third, steps. 7 to 10,000 a day, every day counted. That is not training, that is background expenditure, and it works for you while the treadmill sleeps. And there is a swap almost nobody makes. Drop the heavy side bends and the loaded twists, and put anti-movement work in their place. Planks, side planks, ab wheel, and cable anti-rotation work, 3 sets of 30 to 45 seconds, or 8 to 12 controlled reps. The reasoning in one sentence: the midsection you want is a ratio between 2 measurements, and you improve a ratio by pulling one number up and the other down, never by inflating the middle. Third pillar, and this one has an uncomfortable name: the height you throw away every single day. You are probably not small, you are folded. Shoulders rolled forward, head pushed out ahead of your body, chest collapsed, shoulder blades floating. You spent 10 years between a phone and a chair, and your body adapted to that shape. And you get the worst of both worlds. You look narrower from the front because your shoulders came inward, and you look shorter because your spine gave up length. The fix: face pulls with a cable or a band, 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps, holding 1 second at the end position, 3 times a week, no exceptions. Rows, any variation, 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps with a deliberate 1 second squeeze. And 5 minutes a day, only 5, of thoracic spine mobility, side lying rotations, extension over a foam roller, deep breathing with the ribs expanding out. Run the wall test before and after. Put your heels, glutes, shoulder blades, and the back of your head against a wall at the same time. If your head will not touch without you tipping your chin up, there is your missing inch. The reasoning in one sentence: posture returns height and width in the same movement, and it is the only item on this list that changes how you look today, not in 8 weeks. The fourth pillar separates the men who do this from the men who only watch. It is uncomfortable, it is boring, it does not photograph well, and it is the only thing that guarantees the other 3 are not wasted. Recorded progressive overload with full range of motion. You need to hold 10 to 20 working sets per muscle group per week through a full range, stopping 1 to 3 reps short of true failure on most sets. And you need to write it down: notebook, app, sheet of paper in your bag, whatever. Weight, reps, and how it felt, set by set. The following week, you hit one of 2 targets, 1 more rep at the same load, or 2.5% more load at the same reps. One of the 2. If neither happened for 3 weeks straight, the problem is not the program, it is your sleep or your food. And you will know that because you have the record in your hand. And do not confuse intensity with destruction. Crawling out of the gym is not a sign of progress. It is a sign that you spent a coin you will miss at the next session. Enough stimulus, enough recovery, repeated for months. That is it. On range of motion, be honest with yourself. Squat until your thigh passes parallel if your mobility allows it. Bench touching the chest. Pull downs with the arms fully extending overhead. Lateral raises lowered without dumping the tension. The reasoning in one sentence. Progressive tension through a full range is the only language muscle fiber understands. And a man who does not record his training does not progress, he repeats. But all of this, all 4 pillars, runs inside a system you cannot see. And this is where most men stall out. You can have the perfect program on paper and still go nowhere, because the body does not obey a spreadsheet. It obeys the internal environment it is operating in. Chronic stress, poor sleep, food at chaotic hours, and your body starts treating training as one more threat to survive, instead of a stimulus to answer. So you do everything right, you watch the result drain away. If you think your problem is training more and eating less, you are badly mistaken. While you are killing yourself in the gym and starving on a diet, there are people getting more results with less effort, and that is not luck, it is synchronization. That is why the White Protocol exists. It integrates what neuroscience, physiology, and behavioral psychology have found out about the human body. The things no personal trainer is going to teach you, because he was trained to sell training hours, not to regulate your internal system. Body transformation happens when you become capable of regulating your own hormonal system, and the White Protocol does that in 3 phases. Cortisol, the hormones of your mind; insulin, the hormones of your eating; and growth hormone, the hormones of fat loss and muscle gain. If you want to unlock your results and build the body you have always wanted, the link is in the bio and in the pinned comment below. Get the White Protocol now. Now, I know exactly what went through your head back at the first pillar. You thought, but my collarbones are narrow, that is bone, that is genetics, there's nothing to be done. I will answer you honestly, because you deserve the adult version of the answer. Yes, the length of your clavicle is fixed, and it does not change. But look at the math. The width another person sees on you does not end at the bone. It ends at the outer edge of your lateral deltoid, which sits past the bone, and that is tissue you control. Add both sides. Every centimeter of muscle you build on the side of the shoulder counts twice, once on each side. Then add the inches, posture gives back. No man with narrow clavicles and developed delts looks narrow. He looks dense, and there is more. If you are a beginner, or if you have been stuck for a long time, your body is in the most responsive phase of your life. A body that has never received this specific stimulus answers fast and answers hard. The man who has trained for 8 years fights for grams. You are still in the territory of inches. That is not a disadvantage. It is the best window you will ever get, and it has an expiration date. Now I pay what I promised. The 30-second test. Stand facing the mirror, arms relaxed. Put a fingertip on the outer edge of each shoulder. Then drop your hands and do the same at the narrowest part of your waist. You do not need a number, you need a difference. Do this once a month, same light, same time of day, and you will see whether the top distance is growing while the bottom one shrinks. That is the only metric that matters, and the scale will never tell you about it. In the minimum version, for the week that falls apart, 3 20-minute sessions. Lateral raises, 4 sets. Pull-ups or wide grip pull-downs, 4 sets. Face pulls, 3 sets. That is all. It is not optimal. It is enough to not lose the ground you took. Now the part nobody enjoys hearing. This is simple, but it is not easy. Most of the men who made it this far will nod along, think the video was good, and tomorrow they will run the exact same session they always run. You can be the exception, and the exception does not start Monday. Monday is where intentions go to die. It starts today. With one thing, pick one of the 4 pillars and execute it before you go to sleep. 5 minutes of thoracic mobility counts. 4 sets of lateral raises counts. Watching another video on top of this one does not. Remember that straight line you saw in your reflection at the start? That is your starting point, not your sentence. Do this. Comment day 1 below and tell me how many weeks until you come back to show the result. Measure your shoulder width and your waist today, write both down somewhere, and come back to this video in 8 weeks to check those 2 numbers. Do that, and you will have something 90% of the people in your gym do not have. Proof. If this made sense to you, subscribe so you do not miss the next one, because what follows this is how to keep that outline without living inside a gym. And send it to that friend of yours who has been training for 2 years and still has the exact same body. He will pretend to be offended and then watch it 3 times. I hope this helped you. When you understand the rules, you are the one who runs the game.